The National Electrical Code does not specify whether a 120 volts 15 ounce or 20 amps receptacle should be mounted vertically with the ground up or down. Regarding sideways mounting, the NEC allows for it in certain applications. Firstly, tamper-resistant receptacles in residential occupancies. NEC 406.12 requires tamper-resistant receptacles to be installed in all new and remodeled residential occupancies and habitable rooms, except bathrooms and garages. Sideways mounting is permissible for these receptacles to meet this requirement. Secondly, special purpose applications. NEC 406.11 permits sideways mounting of receptacles for specific applications, such as in industrial or commercial locations where frequent insertion and removal of plugs is required or where the receptacle is concealed behind furniture or other equipment. However, in general, it is not recommended to mount receptacles sideways. Sideways mounting can weaken the connections and increase the risk of arcing and electrical fires. For safety and reliability, it is recommended to mount receptacles vertically with the ground pin at the bottom. This orientation ensures that the ground pin makes contact first, providing a secure electrical connection and minimizing the risk of shock or electrical fires. Let's delve deeper into the specifics of each mounting orientation and the NEC guidelines that govern them. When it comes to vertical mounting, the NEC remains silent on the preferred orientation of the ground pin, whether up or down. This flexibility allows electricians to choose the orientation that best suits the specific application and aesthetic considerations. However, it's important to note that some electricians prefer the ground pin down orientation, believing it provides a slightly better level of safety. The reasoning behind this preference is that if a metallic object were to fall onto a partially unplugged plug, the ground pin would be the first to make contact, potentially diverting the current and preventing a shock. Now, let's turn our attention to sideways mounting. As mentioned earlier, the NEC permits sideways mounting in certain specific scenarios. One such scenario is the use of tamper-resistant receptacles in residential occupancies. These receptacles are designed with internal shutters that prevent the insertion of foreign objects, thereby protecting children from electrical shock. NEC 406.12 mandates the installation of tamper-resistant receptacles in all new and remodeled residential occupancies, excluding bathrooms and garages. In some cases, sideways mounting may be necessary to accommodate the physical dimensions of the receptacle or the surrounding wall structure. Another instance where sideways mounting is allowed is in special purpose applications. NEC 406.11 provides the guidelines for these applications, which include industrial or commercial locations where frequent insertion and removal of plugs is required. In these environments, sideways mounting can offer greater convenience and accessibility. Additionally, sideways mounting may be permitted when the receptacle is concealed behind furniture or other equipment. This allows for a cleaner, more aesthetically pleasing installation. However, it's crucial to remember that sideways mounting is generally not recommended due to the potential weakening of connections and increased risk of arcing and electrical fires. When considering sideways mounting, it's essential to carefully assess the specific application and ensure that the installation complies with all applicable NEC requirements. It's also worth noting that some local jurisdictions may have their own specific regulations regarding receptacle mounting orientation, so it's always best to check with the local electrical inspector before proceeding with any installation. In summary, while the NEC does not explicitly dictate the vertical orientation of receptacles, it does provide guidance on sideways mounting, allowing it only in specific situations. The recommendation for vertical mounting with the ground pin down stems from a belief that it offers a slightly enhanced safety margin. Ultimately, the choice of mounting orientation should be based on a careful consideration of the specific application, NEC requirements, and local regulations. When installing electrical receptacles, it is crucial to prioritize safety and adhere to the guidelines provided by the National Electrical Code and any local regulations. The NEC aims to ensure electrical installations are safe and reliable, protecting people and property from electrical hazards. Receptacle mounting might seem like a minor detail, but it is a crucial aspect of electrical safety. Whether you are installing receptacles in a new construction project, remodeling an existing space, or simply replacing a damaged receptacle, understanding the NEC requirements and best practices is essential. Let's reiterate the key points to keep in mind. Firstly, the NEC does not specify whether 120 volts, 15 amps or 20 amps receptacle should be mounted vertically with the ground pin up or down. This allows for flexibility in installation based on the specific needs and preferences of the user. Secondly, sideways mounting of receptacles is permitted by the NEC only in certain specific applications. These applications include the use of tamper-resistant receptacles in residential occupancies, as required by NEC 406.12, and special purpose applications, as outlined in NEC 406.11, such as in industrial or commercial locations where frequent insertion and removal of plugs is needed, or when the receptacle is concealed behind furniture or equipment. Thirdly, it is generally recommended to mount receptacles vertically with the ground pin at the bottom. This is considered a best practice for safety and reliability, as it ensures that the ground pin makes contact first, minimizing the risk of shock or electrical fires. Fourthly, it is always important to check with your local electrical inspector before proceeding with any electrical installation to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Local jurisdictions may have specific requirements that differ from the NEC. In addition to these points, it is also important to use appropriate wiring methods and materials for the specific application and to ensure that all connections are made properly. Poorly made connections can lead to overheating, arcing, and electrical fires. Furthermore, it is important to use the correct size of circuit breaker or fuse to protect the circuit from overloads. An overloaded circuit can also lead to overheating and electrical fires. When working with electricity, it is always best to err on the side of caution. If you are not comfortable performing an electrical installation yourself, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work. A qualified electrician will have the knowledge, skills, and experience to ensure that the installation is done safely and correctly. Remember, electricity is a powerful force that can be dangerous if not handled properly. By following the NEC guidelines, best practices, and local regulations, you can help to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and reliable. This will protect you, your family, and your property from electrical hazards. Furthermore, consider the environment in which the receptacle is being installed. In damp or wet locations, use weather-resistant receptacles and covers. These are designed to prevent moisture from entering the electrical system, reducing the risk of corrosion and electrical shock. Also, consider the type of equipment that will be plugged into the receptacle. For heavy-duty equipment, use heavy-duty receptacles that are designed to withstand the higher current loads. When replacing an existing receptacle, be sure to turn off the power to the circuit at the circuit breaker or fuse box before starting work. This will prevent you from getting an electrical shock. Use a voltage tester to confirm that the power is off before touching any wires. When connecting the wires to the new receptacle, be sure to connect them to the correct terminals. The black wire goes to the brass terminal, the white wire goes to the silver terminal, and the green or bare wire goes to the green grounding terminal. If you are unsure about how to connect the wires, consult a qualified electrician. After connecting the wires, carefully tuck them back into the electrical box and screw the receptacle into place. Be careful not to over-tighten the screws, as this could damage the receptacle or the electrical box. Finally, turn the power back on at the circuit breaker or fuse box and test the receptacle to make sure it is working properly. Use a receptacle tester to check for proper wiring and grounding. If the receptacle does not work or the tester indicates a wiring problem, turn the power back off and recheck your work. If you are still unable to resolve the problem, consult a qualified electrician. By following these guidelines, you can safely and effectively install electrical receptacles in your home or business. Remember, electrical safety is paramount, so always take the necessary precautions and consult a qualified electrician if you have any doubt. Understanding the nuances of electrical codes and best practices ensures not only compliance but also the safety and longevity of electrical systems. The seemingly simple act of mounting a receptacle involves a series of considerations, from the type of receptacle to the orientation and the specific environment in which it's installed. By adhering to the NEC and seeking professional guidance when needed, one can create a safe and reliable electrical environment. Remember to always prioritize safety and to consult with a qualified electrician if you have any doubts or questions about electrical work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others from harm. A well-installed and properly functioning electrical system is essential for the safety and comfort of any home or business.